maybe Kramnik got into this, or maybe he didn't. I assume he didn't. But if let's just assume that a player is a cheater,
Hmm.
why would it make any difference how many playing spaces they have? Like if they have their cheating setup, why do they need a different cheating setup? Or why do they need one fair setup, one cheating setup? Like what's the logic there if he got into that at all?
Well, he's contradicting himself because first of all, he doesn't realize that my monitor that's I use with my laptop is much smaller. Like my two monitors on my main office is like 34 inches and 31 and a half inches, like really, really big. And it's really comfortable to play and to work on them. And I don't just use it to cheat, right? I use it just kidding. I don't just use it to play Title Tuesday. See, I shouldn't joke about that, but I can't
This
help it
will
because
be
it's just
taken
too
out of
fucking funny.
context. This will be taken out
But
of
it's
context.
the whole situation is too ripe for humor and fucking with people, so I do it, and I'm going to continue to do it. But yeah, all of the jokes are in stock, are still at fish. Horrible. Okay, so the monitors that I have here, I don't carry it up and down to my other setup. I have a different monitor there that's much smaller, and so when he was charging me with looking up when I played Wesley, he uses to illustrate why that's an unnatural motion a still image from the stream where I talk about my laptop setup with the smaller monitor. So it's like a complete, as you say in Russian, a porridge in your brain. Like and I told him that on the Levitov channel, and he's just like, I didn't do that. I'm like, bitch, I have this. Here is the image from your YouTube video. And he was doing this many times. I was like, you called me a cheater. I never did that. I read out a tweet that he posted. He's like, when did I post that? I said October 20th, like 12:59. And like and his response to that is always, oh, that's not important. Let's move on. Which is just insanity. Like you have a prosecutor who is lying time and time and time again. And every time I demonstrate it explicitly, he is then allowed to just strike that from the record and quote unquote move on. So, okay, Christian, I think I lost the plot. So I talked about the eye movements. Let me say why they're false. Okay, so I have already proven this with an eye tracker video, which I recorded on both of my setups that will be coming out by a Russian chess YouTuber, Maxim Omariev. He has like the originals, and I'm sure that it'll probably trickle down from there. But I used an eye tracker. Thank you to Jan for giving me a link to this eye tracker. And I was like, I'm welcoming any opportunity that I can get to explicitly prove that this is bullshit. Like people are misinterpreting. Like I want people to tell me what the test is to prove this explicitly. So that's the eye movements. Like when I look up, I'm not looking up at the wall. Like he thinks what there's like a TV on the wall.
That's actually
And
what I was going to ask
yeah, go
because
ahead.
I want to understand his thoughts. Uh, like if like okay, I have my monitor in front of me, and let's
Mm-hmm.
imagine that I do have something up there, so
Yeah.
I'm looking at something. Then why is it relevant? Because I saw there was also talk about like is a second computer there or a computer there or there. Like, why would it matter that you're looking to the
Which one
side in that
is it?
case?
There's like
Yeah,
six.
that's my
One is on the
question.
wall, and well, the
Like,
first thing is that on my side setup, or my laptop setup, I'll call it, the wall is across from me. Like I would not be able to see like a small screen that's on the wall. It would have to be like a 77-inch TV. Okay, that doesn't matter. Here, the wall is like my desk is almost flush against the wall. And when he says that I look up, by the way, I'm just looking at like the top half of my monitor. It's like not even close. Like to look at the wall, if I'm sitting like this, and by the way, like I used to have a different chair that was quite a bit lower, but I would have to like make a incredibly unnatural motion. Like it's not even close to where I'm looking. When I'm looking off to the side, I'm looking at my opponent's clock, like on my laptop. He doesn't understand the way a webcam works. Like just because your head is in line with the webcam doesn't mean that when you turn your eyes to the right, you're looking past your laptop. Like, how is that even something you can possibly know or conjecture or even think? But Fabi, then he's saying, as you're saying, that there's a third monitor, and his evidence for that is a particular glance that I made during the speedrun video, right? The famous one, the one where I cheated, quote unquote.
where you're
Um,
playing weak players, right? This is I'm getting this correct, right? That you're playing players
Yeah,
1200,
I think
1300 more or less.
well, zero, like the speedrun reaches to like 22, 2300, and I've done four of the, and like the premise is it's not really a speedrun, it's like a slow run, it's educational.
Yes, yes, and
Like,
actually, that's a very good point that maybe we can stay on for a little bit, because I feel that's at the crux of his argument. The fact
yep.
that you had, the engine or like chess bays open during that time. I think you even mentioned it, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, this is interesting, actually. The engine, wow, this is really cool. So we'll have some interesting analysis to do after the game. I'm looking at the engine, and actually it's not, it's not arguing, it's arguing against taking the knight on g5. It doesn't believe that it's the fastest path to victory. So, wow, the engine line is crazy. Okay, we have a lot to explore as soon as our opponent abandons this pitiful position. No, I'm looking at the start of the game.
Can you give us your full picture of what happened on that speed run when you supposedly had the chess base engine on, and you use that assistance to, let's say, explain certain concepts in the opening phase? Can you kind of build up
definitely.
a picture for everybody to understand, everybody that perhaps hasn't watched all of Kramnik's video or all of your previous podcasts?
And by the way, like, I want to make it clear, I think there's also a moral question involved here. And like, Bobby, if you have a different perspective on the moral question, I don't want to make it seem like I'm not allowing any room for discussion. I think I accept that the optics of this were terrible. And the other thing, the reason it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy is Levitov, like, he started by asking me about this thing, and I was caught a little bit off guard. I was like, okay, you're going to get right down to business. And I kind of got tripped up on my words. I'm not as used to describing this in Russian, and like, the Russian viewers don't even know what the speed run is. So like, I had a lot of contextual explaining to do. And by definition, it's suspicious when someone tries to like drown you in their like, verbal diarrhea. But the context here, it's not just important, it is the only thing that's important. So the speedrun series I started in 2020 by playing, I started with 5+0, but the second and third speedrun, it was 15+0 and 10+0. I would play longer games, and I would climb the same way you normally do in a speedrun, except I would explain every one of my moves in like the most painstaking logic imaginable. And the intention was to make a series that was like super educational and engaging on the basis of actual games, and B, like, it would help a wide variety of players, and you could watch every episode no matter where I was in the speedrun, and different players, like players of different levels, would find different things to benefit from. So like, the analysis after every game can take much longer than the game itself, right? I could spend 45 minutes analyzing a game, and I could spend 20 minutes like delving into an opening for like an NM who's watching the speed run, but then describe like the middle game in a super basic way because I was playing a 900, right? And that was actually the case in the game in question. I was playing an 1100. Now, the game itself was what you would expect from a GM playing at 1100. Although, if you're like, well, I've seen some Title Tuesday games, I'd expect the 1100 to win. No, he hung all his pieces and I won. Okay, that's the summary of the game. However, there was a moment on like move 8 where he played knight f3 to g5. I think I played h6 and he played h4. I think that's called the fishing pole trap, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like, by definition, if you're castle to the king side, like hg is going to be risky. Even if like a queen lands on h5, it's a little bit scary. And I wasn't actually totally sure if the best thing to do was to take the knight. And I think I took the knight in the game, and then he hung his pieces and I won. At some point, he hung his queen in one move. He played queen d7. People can watch and can find the exact clip. I'm not going to like belabor the point. I took the queen and I was like, okay, he's going to resign. This is the level at which people usually resign when they hang their queen in one move. But he started to think, and he had something like 7 minutes on his clock. And on that particular night, at like that particular 4 a.m., fateful moment, I did something whose like the significance of this. And the funny thing about this is that I've had so many chances to delete this video from YouTube, right? I could have not uploaded it. I could have deleted it after the initial like blowback came in the form of YouTube comments. Didn't do that either, because it never occurred to me that people could interpret this in such a twisted manner, in what I, respectfully believe is a very twisted manner. I got impatient, and after he started thinking, after I took his queen, I was like, I'm not going to like waste any time. I'm going to quickly take a look at that moment where I took his knight on move 8, I think it was, and I'm going to see what the computer thinks about it. Right. So at this point, it's not entering my mind that this is bad or that this is in any like meaningful way cheating. Why? Because fundamentally in my stupid brain, the speedrun is not like a competitive game. It's not a game at all. I think of it as a lesson. I'm teaching a lesson to a student, right? And when I teach lessons to actual students, I'll have the engine running all the time. Like sometimes we'll play out, segments of games on Lichess, and on my other monitor, I'll be analyzing, like some opening that I'll be showing the student later. Okay, I don't think anybody thinks of that as cheating, right? So what people don't understand fundamentally is like, I view the speedrun, even though it's technically a game, the rating is refunded to my opponent, and I am in Coach Naroditsky mode. It is a completely different like universe from my actual competitive games, where it would never occur to me in a million years to even like touch chessbase, much less turn on an engine at any point in the game.
You just said that the rating gets refunded to your opponent. Is this because
Yes.
this is an account that was given to you specifically for this reason by
Yes.
chess.com? Can you maybe drill down on that and explain to people how that works?
Yes. So chess.com allows me to create second and third and however many accounts, one at a time, of course, for the purposes of a speedrun. And every speedrun, whether it's Hikaru, who else, Botez, Hansen, whoever has done a speedrun can do that. And at some point, sometimes after the speedrun is complete or during the speedrun, chess.com will refund the ratings of the people who play me, because not all of them know, and sometimes very few of them know that they're actually playing a GM. And smurfing is smurfing without the express written consent of the NBA, express written consent of chess.com is, I think, a fair play violation. And okay, I think people can get on board with that. There were a few speedrun accounts that were banned because like I created them and then it took me like a week or so to tell chess.com about it. And it was like an auto ban because I was like 94% accuracy every game. And Kramnik would be like, well, I mean, even if they knew it was Naroditsky, you should still probably ban it. But that's the only reason. Like, it was immediately unbanned when they realized it was my speedrun account. So that's the way that it works.